We all have a driving force within us to evolve and grow and ultimately live happy and fulfilling lives. We all have a calling to grow beyond who we perceive ourselves to be. And when we follow the path toward what society has told us we should be, we lose contact with our inner voice. Over time, that inner voice becomes quiet if we don't listen to it. I'm Jim Masters, CU TV News. Dineen Carta is a certified psychosynthesis transformational life coach and the founder of Unveil Your Voice Life Coaching, where she specializes in helping men and women find their authentic, creative, prolific selves. Dineen Carta joins me in the CU TV News studio today to discuss her new book and all the incredible work she's doing.
A couple times in my own life, I went through a process of losing my voice. The first metaphorically and the second actually physically. I physically
So you physically lost your
my
voice
yes.
through the trauma, through everything that...
So it began with the trauma, and when the trauma occurred, I went through a period of about 10 years where I never told anyone about it.
Oh, so you kept it all to yourself.
I kept it all to myself.
Tried to deal with it yourself, and that's
I did.
not so easy.
I dealt with it myself.
And while you were trying to deal with it yourself,
yeah.
What was happening to you? Were you changing as a person? Was your personality changing, the way you interacted
Yes.
with people and the rest of society? What were you before,
Yes.
like before, and what happened after?
Yes. Before the trauma, I was very gregarious, very sociable, outgoing, friendly, had a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And when the trauma occurred, which was in college, I just went in. I went into hiding, is what I would call it. I stopped sharing. I spent much more time by myself. I wasn't outgoing anymore. I just totally shut down. So from that period, I was trying to find my way back to myself. So that would be, in essence, the first time I lost my voice. So during that period when I was trying to find myself, I went into the arts. That's what I started with. And I tried to re-find those things that gave me joy when I was a child.
Because those sort of went away and disappeared and...
Yes. I dug into childhood again.
Yeah.
Because that was what was lost.
Right.
So I found something I started with when I was a child, which was dance. I started with dance. And at first, I couldn't even feel the rhythm of the music anymore. Couldn't feel it inside me anymore. And I kept working at that and just showing up. And then I always wanted to explore singing. So I tried that too. And what ended up happening over the years was I ended up performing in those things. But I slowly and surely was coming back into my own being through this process. In the meantime, I started also getting into a spiritual meditation group where I studied psychology and spirituality. And I was trying through that process to refine myself.
You could have stayed frozen in time, which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
They're frozen in time, they can't get past the trauma, and their life shuts down completely, but you, just through, being who you are, the inner you, had the strength to be able to say, I will not live this way. And that's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. I've always had a very deep spiritual grounding from a very young age, and I knew that this didn't have to be the end. I used to pray, actually, that if I found my way back, that I would teach it, that I would share it, that I would do something with that experience of finding my way back. I got to a point through all that I thought, I've been a student a long time of all these things. I've been a student of my life. I've been exploring all these experiences. When do I start teaching it? When is the right time? And I felt the pull that maybe I should switch to guiding others. But I doubted myself.
Right. Am I ready? Is it time? Am I expert enough? Right.
Yes. Do I know what I'm very comfortable being a student, very comfortable here. And that was another step because I had been hiding for all those years. I was coming out, but then it was like, okay, here I stepped to another level. And so then at that point, when I thought it came inside me that I should transition, I halted, I resisted, and I didn't move to the place where I am now with you.
Right.
And what happened, it was as a result, was I lost my voice. Over a 3-day period, my physical voice
Just
was gone. And no one knew why. I didn't know why. It was just all of a sudden I couldn't speak. And at the time I was singing and I was doing all these things.
so all
I
these
had to
things,
stop
and then it
everything.
So that had to be incredibly scary when you couldn't speak. I mean, especially considering for this 10-year period, you weren't able to even share the trauma, but
Right.
now you actually physically can't speak. Did you say, why me, or what's happening? Are you-
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's incredible, I mean.
Thank you, Jim. I was in that state of why me and was trying to explore what was happening. I was terrified because think about how many things can you do? How many jobs can you have without a voice? There's not too many.
I'd be completely out of business.
Right?
Completely out of business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've had a spiritual grounding, and during that period of time, I was meditating regularly.
Yeah.
And so what occurred was I had gone to the specialists. They said, you're never going to get it back.
Really?
Yes. They told me that...
The vocal cords are shut down, and that was
Yes,
it?
yes.
Wow.
They said that this happens to people. We're not exactly sure why, but in the majority of cases, you just never get it back. It never comes back.
That had to be traumatic.
And in your case, we don't believe it's going to come back.
So that was, yeah.
So at that point...
Did you lose sense of hope? Were you in despair?
No, because at that very point, I just decided this couldn't be it. This couldn't be it.
You turned it around and gave you strength to endure.
Yeah, I basically, through meditation and prayer, I decided that I was going to find a way to heal. I didn't care what it took. I didn't care what I had to do. I was going to find a way to heal. And I started going to alternative therapies. I tried 3 different alternative therapies. And this was after about 3 years without having my voice. What I resolved to do was I through meditation realized that my voice was gone because I wasn't using it. Okay, so that was the realization through meditation one day. Dineen, you've lost your voice because you're not using it. You need to share yourself in the world. You need to share yourself in your relationships. You're in hiding for too long. You need to come out. And there's even more. Your life is a message. And when, at that moment, I decided that I would use my voice for good. I would use it for whatever purposes were put inside me. Still a little bit shaky. It still came in and out. But there was more of it there than before. Before there was just a whisper. I don't know if it's different than it was before now. I'm happy with my voice the way it is now. That I can express myself, that I can share, that I can tell my story. I wasn't even talking to friends. I had very few friends because I didn't share very much.
It's a real testament to your own personal inner strength that you have, that you were able to, and from the depths of despair, from an emotional trauma to physical loss, that you were able to harness, tap into somehow in any which way in your quest to return to a sense of self and to restore. You were able to tap into this incredible inner strength that I bet you probably, and most people watching right now, any of us, didn't even know you really had until it was called upon. And then when you were brought it out, and when you worked through it and you sensed it, gave you a totally different perspective. Like, wow, I'm stronger than I would have ever imagined.
I think it definitely did that, and you know what? That's my message to other people, because they're stronger than they imagine.
Can too, right?
Everyone is stronger than they imagine.
Even if they're hearing criticism and
Yes.
and told you can't do that, you should never do that,
Yes.
or you're told you'll never talk again.
Yes.
I mean, just don't always take that and
Yes.
write that off.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
You are so right,
Right.
about that. Because, I mean, I did go through anxiety and depression.
Sure.
You know, I went through severe anxiety and depression.
Who wouldn't? Yeah.
And I'm healthy now. You know, I'm healthy. I do know what it is to be in darkness. I do know it is. I do also know how it is that there's a little bit of light there's always a little tiny bit of light in everyone. And it's a matter of, you spoke in the introduction about my voice, that voice can get quiet.
Yeah.
That light or that voice, it can be small.
Yeah.
You know, and through coaching, I'm able to mirror that, you know, to the person. I can see it. And I know it's there, because I didn't think it was there in me either.
Mm-hmm.
But it was. And it's about it was tiny steps. It was increments, you know?
Oh yeah, you can't rush this.
No,
you can't
and
rush
a
this.
person, you know, through coaching, I can help someone.
Yeah.
I can be the support and the cheerleader and the guide. I can hold the flashlight through the dark part of the
Right.
path.
Then you decided that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to take the training and get that experience. Tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that.
My training.
Yeah.
Well, it began with, I believe, that meditation group that I was in. Because we studied psychology and spirituality as it applied to the individual, and it was about the maximum unfoldment of an individual. How do you unfold in the largest way that you can?
Right.
With your individual beauty or skills or talent or ideas, whatever that is inside you. And that was a 10-year process for me, and then it actually became a school, the Awakened Heart School in Albany. And then I proceeded to graduate from that school. Then, after I lost and found my physical voice, I went to life coaching training. And that was at the Synthesis Center in Amherst, Massachusetts, which I found to be the most comprehensive program that I could find, because it dealt with the spiritual aspect as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on spiritual psychology. The founder was Robert Assagioli.
Now, is this the psychosynthesis that we're talking
Yes,
about?
yes.
So, sort of breaking that down and describing
Yes.
how that really works. And
Yes. Psychosynthesis has a few tenets that really work holistically with a person in coaching, which I just find to be, like I said, in all my research, I found it to be the best program. And it has that tenet that there's an inner being, that there's a core self that we all have. And it doesn't matter what we've done or said before this, anything in our lives, this core self knows who we are, knows why we're here, and is constantly trying to communicate with us.
we don't think there is that inner voice, or if there is, then maybe there's a problem if we're hearing an inner voice. You know, it's I'm hearing voices, but
Yeah.
in all true seriousness, it's essential to tap that in, because that is exclusively and uniquely you.
Yes.
Nobody else. That's
Yes.
yours.
Yes.
So you can either not listen
Yes.
or listen.
Right.
And when you choose to listen, how beautiful it is, huh? When you first decided you wanted to write this book, Loving the Ache, which we're showing on the screen right now, when I look at the cover, I see somebody who has been through a lot, but has realized and is seeing joy, contentment, balance, happiness, Writing a book's not easy. Putting things together, you know, as far as the content, is absolutely not easy. So when did you make that decision to want to put it all down on paper in the form of poetry and prose, which you've beautifully mastered in this book?
Thanks. Well, because it's a book that navigates the relationships that women have, and especially the relationship with herself as a spiritual and sensual being, I started with the poetry through my own experiences of my life. It was written over my 20s and 30s.
So there's a thread throughout the book.
Thread.
It's not just if you look at this and you jump here and you jump there. There's actually, it's good to read from beginning to end.
Yes, it's a story. It's actually,
story, right?
I call them story poems, actually. I don't even know if that's a word, but I made that up.
You've heard it here first.
But I call them story poems because the poems themselves tell stories, and then weaved together, they tell a story about the journey, my personal journey with these subjects, with my relationships through my life, with my relationship with my child, with my partners, with God, with myself. So it's a story for women. It's a story about sensuality. It's a story about spirituality. It's about growth, and it's about advocacy. The second part is the prose. The prose was about my conclusions, my realizations from living the life that I did through the poetry. And it also offers questions for women or men who are trying to live their authentic lives in terms of their spiritual and sensual selves. It offers questions for them to ask themselves, to be able to come into contact with their inner voice in this realm. Basically, it's connecting with my sensuality and letting a woman realize that how natural and wonderful it is to feel her sensuality, whether it's in the form of water brushing over her body or in the sensual play of seeing a man smile, and all those things are beautiful feelings and expressions, and that it's also about a woman's strength is not in being hard, but also being soft, like a lamb.
Right.
She can be a lamb, and she can be strong like a lion. All of that is a woman, her sensual, her spiritual, her strength, her softness.
It's not an either or.
No.
It's all of it.
It's all of it, and that's all the beauty, and that it's okay to embrace all of it, and it's right to be a whole person.
Why is it important for men to also read this?
Yes.
They get a better understanding of
Yes.
a woman, which can actually help with relationships they
Yes.
have with everybody, not just the woman that is their partner or they're dating, but their sister, their mother, their aunt, all women, right?
Yes, definitely. I have found that, first of all, that women, I've read this, I've done some readings with this poetry, and women, much of the poetry, and women, I've had some cheer for some of the poems because their voice is being expressed. And what happens is, when I've shared it with men, including my partner, it expanded the depth of our relationship. It expanded our depth of knowing one another, and what it feels like to be a woman, what it feels like, So I really think not only would it help a woman express herself to read it, but then she becomes more able to express herself with her partner, and if her partner reads it, he's going to have more of a knowledge of what it feels like to be a woman trying to navigate these issues in the world.
Right.
And that very fact can help men relate more to women, every woman.
Handle things differently, say things differently.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Loving the Ache, A Woman's Journey by Dineen Carta. It's an incredible, incredible book. Just a wonderful extension of the life coaching that you do. In addition to having this, in addition to your amazing story, and I have to applaud you several more times for having the strength, the stamina, and the confidence that I'm sure you've had to muster to share all of this with everybody. Not so easy to put it down on paper and then share it with the world. So we applaud you for that. And also, as I mentioned earlier, getting through everything that you got through to be the incredible soul that you are now.
Thank you.
And then willing to take that and in a positive way, connect and empathize and inspire people in the way that you do. What are a few other reasons, aside from all of that, if that's not enough, to encourage people to work with you for your life coaching? Some other things you bring to the table.
Yeah. Well, first there's the psychosynthesis piece, which we've already discussed, which is a mind-body spirit approach. So
Not so easy to say, but an incredible approach.
it's a very holistic. But personally, what I've been told by my clients is that when they are working with these new parameters, I mean, they are stepping out of their comfort zone when they're trying to follow that inner voice and challenge themselves, is that I create a sense of safety. They feel safe to explore these realms, and that allows for more growth more quickly. Another thing that my clients tell me is that I'm able to also, because in coaching there's the nurturing aspect, but there's also the action aspect. It's not just that you have awareness of what you need to do, but you have to be able to take steps. And
own it.
Own it.
Take responsibility.
Take
and
responsibility.
own it.
You have to
'Cause
be ready to do the work.
you can tell them all the wonderful things
Yes.
and give them all the advice and the skill
Absolutely.
set, but they do have to participate in it.
Absolutely.
Be a participant in your own life.
That's right. Coaching relationship is an agreement.
Right.
It's a contract. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I'm able to challenge. I have that ability to challenge just in the right dose, I've been told. And I think that the special thing also that I
And
offer...
you treat them individually, too.
Yes.
It's not a cookie-cutter clinical approach.
Oh, no, it's...
You are very...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right.
You
Which
are
is
right.
very important.
It is...
Individual.
Intuitively driven by each person.
Right.
Yes. And then I think the other thing that I think I personally offer is my years of meditation, my years of yoga and qigong, all this creates a wellspring. I'm able to work with their energy too. A lot of times the blocks that we have in our lives manifest physically, just like my voice did, like
yeah.
I mentioned earlier.
Absolutely.
It's actually blocked in the body. So in those cases where it works, I can also do energetic healing in terms of healing touch.
And as an expert life coach, as you are, even you go for enhanced training and coaching, and because the coach needs to be coached too in order to be fresh and have that continued ability to relate to and help others, right?
Absolutely. That's the examples of this meditation and all those things. I go to a coach. I also see a counselor, because in order for me to be present for a client, for someone who's coming to see me,
You need to.
I have to be present in myself. And that's the same reason a person needs to see a coach. It's because there's an accountability piece. There's that big accountability piece that I provide, and also allowing that person a home base to be able to share this percolating, maybe small dream in the beginning, that they're working, that they want to expand. Or even before that, some people come to me and they're not happy, they're not fulfilled, but they're not exactly sure which direction to go in. Where do I start?
And today we have so much information coming at us. Everywhere you go, there's just, you should be this, you should do this, you should try this, you should, one day you can eat salt, next day you can't, next day milk's good. And it's not. There's just so much information that it can get so confusing that people can either give up and say enough, or they can just say, well, I'm so confused, I'm frozen, but I do need help.
But I do need help. And the basis of my coaching is to direct the person to what gives them meaning, what gives them purpose.
Right. I'm sure that it's also given you opportunities as other things that happen in your life that are not necessarily positive, because we all have tragedies and loss and confusion. You can tap back into that and have that at your disposal when needed, and you show people how to do that too.
Right, I show them how to, because I show them how to find that core, expand it, be able to have it more vocal in their own selves. So after a while, that voice is vocal, louder and louder, they're able to hear it more. Eventually, they don't need a coach anymore. You know, they're able to fly on their own and go for it and contact me once in a while if they want to.
Which is a beautiful thing to say.
Right.
To actually want them to not necessarily need a coach anymore. You want them to be happy and content and satisfied and fulfilled and well and balanced and healed.
Be able to follow their own guidance. I'm only helping them, leading them to be able to hear their own guidance.
That's incredible. Well, the book, again, as we were mentioning, is Loving the Ache, A Woman's Journey by Dineen Carta. And again, it is filled with amazing poetry and prose. The website is terrific. It's filled with so much information. It's a great starting point to connect with Dineen. You can also find out more about this book, and also the book is also available, I believe, on Amazon too.
It is,
other
yes.
locations. So,
Yes.
But the website is also a terrific place to begin. You have shared incredible amounts of inspirational material with us in this segment, Dineen, and I thank you so very much. This was an honor. I know you've been really looking forward to wanting to get the story out, not just sharing the book, but your story. And for all of us here at CU TV News, I'm Jim Masters. CU TV News.